Welcome to the Dirt Life podcast. This is episode 8. I have my good friend Joel Wheatley here. Is that how you say it, Wheatley?
Yeah.
You used to work for Finning?
Yeah. 16 years.
Now you work on your own? You have your own truck? Explain that a little bit.
Like the process of that? Or
Yeah, like the process. So you used to be hired to work for Kidco, but you actually worked for Finning.
Yeah. So like they just contract out like labor, essentially, right?
Yeah.
So then, yeah, I think I was at Finning for 16 years, something like that. Most of it was spent on contracts. So they have like a contract system and then like a general line system where like, so if you just own a skid steer and it breaks down and you phone the cat dealership, they'll send out just a general line field guy, not dedicated to like a specific customer.
Right.
And then they have guys that are dedicated to specific customers. So most of my time was spent contracted.
To me, you're like master of the 657.
I've spent a minute or two.
Dude, that's like all you used to work on.
That's still all I work on.
You've rebuilt engines in the field. What's that like?
Just takes a little bit more time than rebuilding them in a shop, really.
Well, like you're exposed to the elements and there's dust flying around. Like,
yeah, you just have to be like super mindful of that and like cleanliness and all that kind of stuff, right? Just a lot of extra steps, a lot more cleaning.
what's the challenge with like working on 657s? Like, did the sheer size and weight of the parts?
Mostly all the grease.
The grease.
Yeah. Yeah, you get pretty dirty working on 657s.
It's a common problem that you see broke down on like a 657E.
Transmissions, differentials.
Why is that? Operator.
It's just a violent process.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. You get that much horsepower, especially when they're push-pulling. These things will just rip themselves apart.
Is it hard to overspeed an engine?
No.
How does that happen? Do you know?
Not using the retarder right. Not, like, obviously you ran lots of scrapers.
No, but I'm asking you.
Yeah.
I'm not a scraper operator.
No.
I know I've worked with them a lot. Dude, I've spent maybe 10 hours on a scraper, but
really?
I've ran fleets of them, yeah.
Yeah.
I know how they work and how to use them to like move dirt, but I ain't no scraper operator.
Yeah. I thought you ran scraper for a little bit.
No.
No?
I probably should have, but I bypassed that.
Yeah. I don't blame you. Yeah, usually just fully loaded going downhill. Get going too fast, right? So it's just the same as like your engine can only go so fast. And then when your machine overtakes that, you start driving your engine. And that's when bad things happen. Start hitting valves.
A common thing I've seen with scrapers, especially the big boys, they're like the E's are being rebuilt forever.
That's because they're the best scraper.
Why are they the best?
Pre-tier 4, so pre-emissions. So we don't have any of that.
There's a V12 in the front, right?
Yep.
So more weight than like a G, because there's a V8 in the G's, right?
No, it's a straight 6 in the G. It's C18.
Tier 3, right? Is it tier 3?
For a G?
No, for a E.
Yeah, I don't think they really had tiers.
Tier 0.
Yeah. Tier the start.
Yeah. Okay, so it has a big engine.
Yeah, they were a better engine. I like the 3400 series for sure.
The transmissions were different.
Pretty much the exact same.
Exact same as in the G's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What else?
They're heavier.
Heavier.
Yeah.
Just like more metal wise, or what?
They're just built heavier. A little bit of a heavier machine, so they tend to not get stuck as bad. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've worked with lots of them. They're way better than the G. But
and they'll lap G's.
the thing I like about the G's is like, well, because the cab, but I'm not an operator, but I was the foreman, so like I gotta start these motherfuckers in the morning, so like you can start the rear engine from the front. I like that part, but they never work.
Well, a lot of companies take them out.
Do they?
Yeah.
Because you don't check the oil and shit.
Yeah, you don't do a proper startup. Guys just jump in there and hit the switch.
Interesting. So on the back of a scraper, it's called power pack. So that is essentially like a big metal box or crate that it's in, kind of, that you can just pick out, or
yeah, it's
what?
it's in its own frame.
Or frame.
Yeah. So, but that's just like the engine and the drop box. So like your engine's going to be connected to a retarder drive, and that goes into a drop box, feeds your input shaft back to the diff housing into the input of the transmission. So you can pull the engine and the drop box and retarder and all that stuff. You can just take that out. And the rad comes with it.
How does the front engine talk to the rear engine?
Lots of wires. Cat data link.
Is that hard to like? I've worked with a lot of scrapers where like the sync was fucked up. So like, how do you go fixing something like, is that software or what?
No, so certain things have to, like it all has to communicate in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And if it doesn't, then it just doesn't lock up the rear transmission. So it just won't drive the rear. Because like when you make a shift, your front has to shift and then the back has to shift in a certain period of time
To keep up
to keep up.
ground speed
Well,
or
to keep everything in sync too,
Yeah.
right? In other words, it'll just kind of, they'll get a harsh shift or it'll start pulling the machine, stuff like that. There's like 100,000 different ways that a scraper won't shift. If that makes sense.
How does a cushion hitch work?
It's just a cylinder with a leveling valve that's attached to, like, to the hitch.
Mm-hmm.
That's where that little leaf spring thing is. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah,
seeing those.
yeah.
Yeah. That controls the leveling valve, so that sets your height, your ride height.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just cycles hydraulic oil. Uses 2 accumulators.
There's not a gas cushion in there?
There's 2 accumulators, but that's just to like, essentially when your cylinder goes down, it goes into the accumulators.
Gotcha. So it kind of slows down the from
Yeah.
not hitting hard at the bottom.
Yeah.
Essentially, slows it down.
Well, it uses the accumulators and the leveling valve to like control the flow of oil in and out of the cylinder.
Why should you turn off the cushion hitch when you're cutting?
So it doesn't pop up. So it doesn't cushion hitch.
Does that cause damage to it, do you think?
It can be hard on like the rod and the piston a little bit, but like nothing. It's not going to be the end of the world. You just aren't going to get a very consistent like cut.
Have you ever seen, sorry, I have a bunch of questions for you that people may want to know. Like, I know these answers, but
Yeah,
have you ever seen a scraper ripped in half?
I have.
Like draft arms busted?
I've seen draft arms busted. I've seen a neck ripped in half.
When the neck rips in half, essentially, what happens to the cab? Face plant or what?
Face plants, yeah. Yeah, they're fairly front heavy.
Mm-hmm. What causes a draft arm to break? Just like constant, like a hairline crack can turn into...
Yeah, fatigue.
It's amazing how much weight those things, and they're hollow too.
Well, and if you get them, like, say you're not using support equipment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like
No grader.
You don't have a good grader.
Yeah.
Or you don't have a good grader operator. You know, spending too much time in the fills and not in the on the haul road. Then you'll see 57s like you've seen them kind of bounce down the haul road, and that's a lot of weight to be flopping around like that.
No, it blows my mind. Like, I still can't believe.
I think we broke a draft arm on one of your job sites once.
Probably. There's been a couple.
Up in Balzac.
Balzac. Oh, yes. I remember that job, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't have a grader.
Yeah.
Imagine that. I mean, it's tough where I used to work there. There's not enough graders to go around.
Right.
There's like rock trucks on one site, scrapers on others, scrapers on, like, they just got so many job sites, it's hard to keep up. Like, most job sites don't have a grader that stays there all the time. They kind of bounce around to a bunch of close sites. So, I mean, that's a challenge, but I mean, it happens. Go more into what you're doing right now. You're essentially a private contractor.
Yep.
You buy your own truck.
Yep.
I assume you would have to supply your truck with tools.
Mm-hmm.
What type of truck do you have?
So I bought a Freightliner.
I love Freightliner, I always have.
Yeah. It's a pretty cool truck, actually.
It has a little crane on the back.
Yeah, it's got a 10,000 pound crane on it. So it's got a Summit body.
Mm-hmm.
Like a Summit.
That's standard, right?
there's a
I see them all over the place.
Kitco uses some.
Yes, that's probably why I seen them.
Yeah. So it's kind of a similar body to the Kenworths that Kitco uses.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a little bit shorter. It's got a 10,000-pound crane on it, air compressor, welder, all that stuff.
So you made the leap from working for someone to starting your own business.
Mm-hmm.
How was that?
Stressful, as you know.
Scary.
It is scary, yeah. It was one of those things where it was like, I was either going to stay where I was at, or I was going to do something that was always my dream.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of at that stage in life where I was like, either I'm going to do this now or I'm not going to do it at all. So I did it.
And it's going good.
It's going good, yeah. I'm busy.
So being a private contractor, you work with Kitco, Borger, anybody, or you just have a couple that you work for?
I'll work for anybody, but I've been mostly working for Borger. Pretty much exclusively, actually, just because they're keeping me so busy.
Mm-hmm. You don't really compete with people, eh? You don't really have much competition?
No, there's not really a whole lot of like the private guys out there. And the ones that are, like, we all talk to each other. We're all usually pretty good friends. Like Chris King went on his own. He bought a truck. Gene and all those guys like, talk to each other all the time.
You guys fill in for the companies who don't have enough internal mechanics themselves, right?
Yeah.
So, which is everybody.
Right now,
I mean, you can't keep up with the amount of shit that breaks down with
nobody really
internal.
wants to go into heavy duty mechanics either.
No one wants to be operators. No one wants to do a fucking thing anymore. They
Right.
just want to be gamers and shit. Like,
Hang out, make TikTok videos.
I mean, that's kind of what I do. But I used to work my ass off. So,
Yeah.
I mean, living the dream now, but.
Yeah. Takes some time to get there, though.
Yeah, no, like, it's still hard. Like, my job isn't all super easy and shit. Like, I also have challenges, but. Yeah, no, it's good that that you were able to take that leap. Like, I have respect for that because I know how much of a challenge that is and how scary that is. Like, you need balls to do it, right?
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, so.
Kind of only got yourself.
Yeah, no one's really going to help you. This is a thing that's came up on a couple of podcasts here. Like, no one's really going to help you do anything. You need to do it on your own. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, people will help you along the way.
Yes,
Some companies
there
will help
is,
you.
but like they won't do it for you.
No, they're not going to do it for you. And when things slow down, you're going to be the first one gone.
First one gone. So we're approaching winter.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to happen to you soon, or what?
Probably get in on some winter work stuff.
During the winter, not a lot of stuff, I guess, construction, earth moving wise can be done. Can't build stuff out of frost, so like guys like digging ponds, they either stockpiling shit or moving stockpiles of topsoil. Like what type of work do you see in the winter around here?
Usually actually like winter
snow
maintenance
removal
programs,
Oh, okay, gotcha.
right? So companies beat the crap out of their gear all year and then do all the big repairs during the winter.
You mean they don't wait till spring when they're up and running to
Some
do?
companies do.
Every fucking year I used to deal with that shit. Like,
Yeah, the old it fixed itself.
but I get it. Like when you don't have money coming in.
Yep. Absolutely, that's a big bill, right?
But at the same time,
It does help out time so much, man.
if your machines aren't running when you need them to make money, I mean, you might be losing more money than you would
Than
have
you
anyway.
think. Yeah.
So, but what do I know? I don't own an earth moving business, but
Right. Same.
the guys who do that, it works for them.
Yeah.
Apparently. I mean, guys aren't happy when that shit happens. You gotta deal with it, but whatever. It's all good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there is a lot of companies that do winter maintenance programs though. And a lot more are starting to get into it too.
Here's another common theme. What's your take on electric machines?
Like the D7E?
Well, I don't even mean that. Like, I mean, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a piece of shit.
It was, yeah. It was a big old swing of miss. I don't know why it needs to be so complicated.
That's not electric though. That's a hybrid, so it's
Yeah.
it's both.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, like full electric. Like I'm going to Con Expo, I'm going to Bomb, I'm going to all these shows, and every brand has a little mini one or a fucking a loader or something that's like all electric.
Yeah.
Lasts like 4 to 6 hours runtime and takes 18 hours to charge. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Right? I don't know if the industry can handle that, man. You know what I mean?
Oh, I know.
It's a lot of. Sure, it looks good on paper, but I don't even know if it looks good on paper.
No, I mean, it makes you look stupid. It's so unrealistic to me, but I don't know.
I mean, there's full electric haul trucks that are, again, mostly hybrids.
They're hybrids,
Yeah.
or they have a rail system where they
Yeah,
take
like
power overhead.
AC system, but
Yeah, I forget the name of that, but
then also what's the
I like the hybrid shit.
yeah, some of the hybrid stuff's cool. Like that. Do you remember when Cat put out that like that hybrid hoe that used like your swing
Yeah,
collected energy from
Yeah.
your counter swing and stopping swing to supplement the hydraulic system, save on fuel. That was kind of a cool.
Komatsu just came out with the 475. It has a Dozer number name,
Okay.
but it's a hoe.
Yeah.
I got to try one when I was in Finland. Same concept, basically.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Is it good?
They say that there's pretty big fuel savings in it. Like I think they were getting like upwards of 30% or something.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Or something like that.
Fuel is the biggest, like, fucking overhead. So, yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, it's kind of. I don't know about full electric though. I heard somewhere that Caterpillar had a full electric excavator. I don't know if that's. I haven't done any research on that. Or...
I don't know. I'm kind of out of the loop. I've been doing other shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Not as submersed in machines as I used to be, but
Yeah.
I've been trying to build a company. Podcasting, all I'm doing now.
That's crazy.
Like this.
This really took off, eh?
You have to make shit take off.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, it didn't take off because it's magical.
No.
It took off because I don't fucking stop and I don't give up.
Yeah, yeah.
You can make almost anything work. I invented a name, Pushysix. No, I invented that shit, and now like it's known everywhere, and it's like a fucking word now.
Yeah, it's like a brand now, yeah.
So, but it was tough. Okay, we're gonna start a brand with a name that I just made up that no one knows about.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's hard as shit.
Yeah.
So
A lot of marketing.
I wish I would have called it something different, to be honest, because the name isn't helping me get business
Oh yeah.
for what I'm doing now. Like if I was called Earth Movers, whatever,
Yeah, yeah.
the name kind of says what I do.
Might get a little bit more traction on like.
Exactly. But
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's too late now. Can't change my name now.
Committed.
So totally committed. Podcast too is gonna do well too because like I'm just gonna pump them out like you've never seen.
Well, it's also an interesting niche. Like, there's a lot of people are interested in this industry.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like, what I don't want to have is something scripted. Like, I want real shit. Like,
Yeah.
you working in the field, like, full of grease and rebuilding engines and mechanics and shit. Like, you're a real mechanic. So like, I don't want to ask you scripted questions. Like, let's just shoot the shit.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the kind of format that I want that I haven't seen before.
Yeah.
There's other construction podcasts who's like,
Read the old teleprompter.
yeah, exactly, and that's what I don't want. The machines are getting more advanced.
Way more advanced. Have you ran any of the new next gens?
Yeah, before they even came out.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Those things can do an astronomical amount of stuff.
but when they break down,
Oh, it's expensive.
but like since there's a lot more software and electronics and all that shit, like do you have to be more of a tech than a mechanic, or what?
Man, the mechanical industry has shifted to you're not just pulling wrenches anymore. You spend a lot of time on a laptop.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of time on a laptop. Customers hate it. Everybody hates it, but it's a tool. It's one of those things, right?
On your laptop, you have to have like CAT software or come out, like they all have different programs.
Yeah.
Do they, I assume they cost money?
Like to, if you can even buy them.
Yeah. If you can even buy them,
Yeah, yeah.
but you can't buy them?
Oh.
So in your case, what do you do then? Gotta like Google how to fix shit or what?
No, you just gotta know people.
Gotcha.
Not so much like pirate software everywhere, right?
True. Yeah, I guess. Like, I don't really know. I've never
It's not as,
been in this realm.
yeah.
So. Because, yeah, I see these machines having, like, all these fancy options that I turn off, like traction control and
Yeah,
grade assist. Like, turn that fucking shit off. It's restricting power, basically.
yeah, and movement.
Yeah, so we're seeing a lot of more stuff like that within machines. Do you ever have to repair stuff like that, or that goes to more like finning or what?
Mostly that stuff goes to the dealer just because
It's on warranty and shit.
it's usually on warranty. The guys that have those things that aren't on warranty, they usually just turn them off. Depending what you're doing. Really depends what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the earth moving industry and the bulking industry and stuff like that, you don't need 3D grade control.
Yep.
All that kind of stuff. Whereas in like the underground, right? For putting pipe in the ground and stuff like that, it's a huge benefit.
Yeah, you can put like a geofence so you can't dig past a certain point. You don't even need like a basin rover anymore. You just use it based off like location of the
Yep.
machine. It's pretty cool. I went to a SMS demo day, I think in springtime, and they had a new machine there. I don't forget the model, whatever, but I got to test drive it, and it had like a elevation geofence essentially on it. You couldn't dig past that, so like you could slam down the bucket and like try and dig past it, would stop,
Yeah.
and you just pull sticks back and it keeps it right on grade. It's like holy shit.
They have them for overhead too, right? So you
For-
can set
yeah.
the power line
Yeah.
heights and stuff like that, or you only want your boom to go up this far, or
It's pretty cool.
stuff like that.
That I like because that could come in handy.
Mhm.
Like I've had to work around lines and like I gotta stand, like look out the sunroof and just like stand and kind of do it so I can watch the power lines.
At the
and
same
shit.
time, though, like I don't know, my truck has a thing where it'll like stop you before you hit something, but I don't know if I'm like
I hate
the
that
kind
on
of
the
person
trucks.
that's gonna like go test that out,
Yeah, see if it fails.
right?
Yeah,
I don't know how much trust I'd put into like I'm sure it's pretty much 100% fail-proof, but is anything really 100% fail-proof?
not really.
I don't know if I really want to hit a power line just because I wasn't looking up.
Yeah, I mean you still have to look up, but it's just another step. I mean maybe to help. I may think the wrong thing because I've never used one in the field in a real application. Like I was just testing it. There was no actual power line there.
Yeah, yeah.
So like to me it seems like the cat's ass, but like I've never used it on a real job site. So
Right.
maybe I'm wrong and should shut the fuck up. I don't know.
I've never ran one.
So
Like, I
yeah.
run them, but I don't.
yeah.
I've never.
When it has to be right, you can trust Leica Technology to help you get the job done and grow your business with their cutting-edge technology. Training employees is challenging and expensive, but Leica's simple to learn, simple to use products allow you to get your workforce up to speed much faster. Trust me when I say Leica Machine Control will help you move more dirt more efficiently. For more information on Leica Geosystem Solutions, please visit leica-geosystems.com.
A day in the life of your life look like in the morning you get up, like what time do you get up?
I'm up at like 5:30. Usually around
What time do you go home?
like 7.
That's not that bad. Unless something like, do you ever have to stay late until it's fucking done, 10 at night or whatever? Like,
Yeah, not so much nowadays, but definitely had those days.
Mm-hmm. If you're working for Finning, that's a little bit different than you being
yourself,
your
yeah.
own boss. Within reason, right? Like,
Yeah, never truly work for yourself.
no, I know. You work for the customer.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, usually get up, go pick up my truck. That one's too big to park in front of my house.
You just have like a little lot or
Yeah, yeah, just keeping a storage lot.
sort of lot?
Yeah. I'd like to eventually get a shop one day, and have like a home base, but
Dude, it's possible.
oh,
One step at a time,
Yeah, yeah,
or 1 year at a time.
yeah, yeah. Do that, and then like maybe do like rebuilds out of the shop or something like that, right? That's kind of like the goal.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, get my truck, go to the job site, and then usually help with startup, then all the complaints after startup. Get brakes off.
Brakes are stuck all the time.
Brakes are stuck all the time. You know, if you were a foreman on a job site, man, it's
Common scraper bullshit.
yeah. Sometimes they don't start. Sometimes brakes.
Yeah, they don't start
release.
a lot of the time.
Yeah, yeah. Especially now we're getting this temperature.
Yeah.
Get drain your air tanks, brakes freeze, all that kind of stuff, and then get those guys on their merry way. And then usually I have projects like on a job site. You usually have a couple machines broken down.
Yeah.
So you do that, and then deal with all the stuff as it comes in throughout the day.
Why did Cat develop the H series with the, I think it was H series with the fucking air throttle?
The F?
Or the F, yeah, the F.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know.
I fucking hate that shit.
Yeah.
Freezes up and you can't even warm it up.
They won't rev up until you reach like X amount of air pressure and like
F, that's what it was, yeah.
F series.
Yeah, because the H are the new ones.
K's.
Or yeah, there's H then now, okay. I mean, they're all plastic and shit, but.
Yeah, yeah. They made a new 657 too.
Mm-hmm. I've seen that.
Yeah.
I've only seen one place have one.
Oh, I imagine they're a fortune.
So I don't think they're selling them or much of them. I've only seen one.
Yeah.
Dude, my job is to look online to see what the fuck is going on in construction.
Yeah, yeah.
I've only seen one place have one.
Where was it? In the States.
It was in California.
Yeah, yeah.
Haven't seen one since. That was like a year or two ago.
Yeah. Well, I imagine the price tags on them probably like close to 3.
Well, yeah, like they were 2 before, like years ago.
The G's were 2, yeah. Weren't they?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, now they're probably like 3 for one.
For one scraper, yeah. And it's probably going to break just as much, if not more.
They just have so many different components and moving parts, right?
Mhm.
Like more parts, more shit to break down in my theory.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, the F series grader, I'm not sure why that was around. Or scraper, that was. It's a different one, especially with, like, scrapers never have air leaks.
Yeah, okay.
Especially when it gets like -5 out.
Do you enjoy working on machines in the winter?
Yes and no.
It's probably hard when it's fucking hot too,
It's
right?
worse when it's hot, man. It really is.
At least you can put gloves on and stuff.
Oh, and you can put
Warm
like,
up in your truck,
Hansons on and like stuff like that. You can get heaters. You can
Turp it.
you can manage the cold.
Yeah.
Plus 35 is hot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can't have a big
Especially when-
AC unit blowing on you right there, right?
Well, especially when you open a hood and
it's hotter.
yeah, and it's been running all day, and you know, like go change a turbo on an excavator or something like that, right? It's screaming hot, nowhere to go.
What things cause a turbo to fail
Usually, not letting them cool down
or warm up?
or warm up, but really not letting them cool down is a real detrimental thing to that, and then it just kind of escalates, right? So you start that failure.
And then you see symptoms slowly.
Yeah.
Then one day you just see white smoke.
A little bit of wear, a little bit of wear, and then the shaft breaks, right? Or the bearing seizes.
Yeah. What's the life of a turbo, let's say, like on something?
On a variable horsepower, like in a machine,
Mm-hmm.
say like in a scraper,
Yeah.
or like an excavator, because it'll last longer in an excavator, because excavators are constant horsepower, right?
Right, where scrapers up and down, up
Yeah.
and down, up and down. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, a scraper. 5,000 or 10?
Probably 4 or 5, something like that. Depends how you run them. Depends how you. So many variables.
Let them cool down.
Let them cool down. Let them warm up.
I love turbos.
Also, your air filters.
Yeah.
Like, what's your maintenance? Right?
Yeah, I've seen them blow because like sucking so hard it sucked in the air filter.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's because it's fucking plugged.
Or you're not changing your oil enough.
That too.
Right? You gotta remember that turbo's spinning at like 18, 20,000 RPM.
Is it really?
Oh yeah, it's wailing in there.
Guess that's why it whistles. That makes sense. I didn't think it would spin that fast, but damn. Yeah. It's crazy. Let's talk dozers for a little bit, because you work on dozers too.
Yeah.
So what happens if you don't decelerate between shifts? If you just leave her flat out, shifting back and forth?
Like between forward and reverse?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Mm-hmm. Full
It's-
throttle.
Yeah, that's hard on it, for sure. It's not meant to be that. It will slow it down before it slams it. Like, it has mod valves. It has BCM controlling it,
Okay.
right? So, like,
It does a little bit. Slows
Yeah.
it down.
but, like, it's not the greatest thing in the world for it. Guys do it all the time.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Oh, I know it's not good for her. I want to hear from a mechanic.
Yeah.
Maybe like what happens, like what's going on, like the clutch, what's going on with the clutching and shit.
Well, it's just like taking your car and putting it in reverse. There's a lot more steps involved, but it's like, it's that basic principle, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got a torque converter, you got a torque multiplier, you got all these things taking place if you're going, say you're going backwards, third gear backwards. Full throttle, slam it in forwards, it's gonna, that's a harsh shift.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel it in the cab, think what it feels in the transmission. Right?
Oh, I know. Yep. Yeah. I'm sure it heats up the whole thing too.
It
And
just
like,
slams your discs together like your with clutch plates and discs, right? With
Yeah.
friction discs and plates. And a piston squeezes all that together, and that's what creates your drive, right? So when you're doing something like that, you're slipping those, which is just taking life off those components.
I know the answer, but I'll ask you. Why don't like 10s and 11s have tiller steering?
It just doesn't work on that scale, man.
Well, how come? Explain a little bit.
Like, why don't they have diff steer?
Yeah, tiller steering. Is it too much horsepower and torque involved?
Too much horsepower, too much torque, and then too much weight,
Gotcha.
right? Because that's just like tiller steering's just a hydraulic motor, right?
Mm-hmm.
It runs a planetary gear set that overspeeds your like one side or the other, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you just don't get that force when you get into like the tens.
So then with clutch steering,
Mm-hmm.
how does that work exactly? The clutches stop the one side, or like clutch brake, it stops, or what?
Yeah, that's
I'm not a mechanic, so
that's
do you even know?
it's a tough one to explain. I do know, but yeah, it's
Kind of put on the spot.
right. Haven't done my research.
I have weird questions, man. Like I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know.
You have your clutches engaged when you're sending power to it. Then when you go to steer,
Disengages.
you're essentially just disengaging it. Yeah. Keeps driving the other side.
Then that's how it skids and shit.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I love dozers and how they work.
Yeah.
Question for you. I'm not sure if you know this. I have a theory on it, but on the big cat dozers, they have a blade stabilizer.
Like your drag link?
Is that what it's called? So there's a mount on the body, on the frame, and it goes down. It's a big bar that goes to the blade, and it stops the blade from going back and forth.
Yeah.
What's that called?
I call it a drag link.
Drag link?
Guys call it like everything.
Gotcha. So that stops the blade from going back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't Komatsu dozers have that?
I have no idea.
Dude, they're the fucking worst. Like on the 375, the blade is just...
Really? I didn't even know Komatsu's dozers didn't have that.
They
I
do.
just assume they must after a certain size.
That's the same size as a D10.
Really?
Also on the 475 that I ran, didn't have that either.
Weird.
Yeah. I think Cat has a patent for it, to be honest.
Probably. It's a good chance.
So like on the smaller dozers, there's not a need for that.
No.
Yeah, the big ones.
Usually your frame and all that stuff holds it pretty steady on a smaller one.
I ran a Liebherr 776, so that's a D10 size
Okay.
high drive.
Yep.
It's hydrostatic. Turns on a dime, just like the smaller ones. But I mean, it's so heavy at that scale that, I mean, you almost get stuck if you whip a 360 because like you just dig into the dirt and you got windrows this high on the side of you, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessary.
Like to replace the mechanical drive with
Well, to be able to whip a donut
in something that big.
in something that big,
Like, how often does that come up when you're running it?
guys do it all the time. There's fucking like it's a small little dozer.
Yeah, but like when you take like what a D10 or a D11 does, right? Like
Yeah, you should never be doing that.
you're not just like, oh, I'm going this way,
Yeah,
like right now. Like,
it can do
you
it.
usually have some room, like to work with.
I mean, D11s turn like shit.
Yeah.
And take a long ass time to turn. I mean, you get used to it or whatever, but
But that was the theory behind diff steer, right? This like a diff steer, you get counter rotation a little bit, kind of. There's a big, like, learn it in like trade school stuff like that. But like, there's actually a really good video on how diff steer works.
what's the difference between like Cat D10 transmission? What's the name of that style? Conventional transmission,
Like mechanical drive.
mechanical drive versus hydrostatic. One has a torque converter, one has a hydraulic pump, basically. The hydraulic pump, you're able to have speeds in different increments versus gear 1, 2, 3.
It's supposed to be like infinitely variable.
So in theory, you could go 200 miles an hour in the thing.
Well, no, you're limited by like your pump displacement and your motor displacement.
Gotcha.
It's going to set your high and low speeds, like your top ends, right? You only have so much oil in the pump that you're moving.
So as it uses it,
Because it's a closed loop.
gotcha.
So take a drop of water here, same drop of water over there, because it can't go anywhere. There's flushing valves and obviously cooling and filtering and all that stuff, but that's the initial theory behind it, right? So if your pump displaces X amount of gallons per minute for flow, because of like the stroke of the piston, the barrel size and all that, right? It can only move so much oil.
Gotcha.
It can't generate more
Gotcha.
than what it's built for, right? If that makes sense.
Do you think those are? Do you think those transmissions are as tough as mechanical? Like as durable? When I say tough?
They're pretty good nowadays.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
There's more parts to break down, though, isn't there? More hoses and.
Well, yeah. Well, you always got hoses and stuff like that, right? But a mechanical drive, you got a clutch pack with discs and valving and all that stuff too, right? So like, they both have their wear items,
Yeah.
right?
Craziest thing you've ever seen broken on a dozer?
Like on a big dozer.
Seen like a track frame broken half or?
Hard bars, like your equalizer bars. It's always kind of wild freaking time. You see the front end just.
Yeah, guys just fucking slam down sometimes, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
usually
like,
coming to lay down backwards, blade.
pretty pain in the ass. Got to jack the whole thing up and.
Terrible. Yeah, you got jack front end up, put on stands. They don't really come out if you leave the track frames on. They don't really come out of there very well.
On the big dozers, what some people don't know is there's oil for the pivot shaft.
Yeah,
Why don't the small dozers have that?
some of them do.
They do? Like which?
The original series of D6s had it.
Did they?
Actually, D6s have one pivot shaft and the track frame.
It's sealed though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But like a reservoir that to fill up,
Oh yeah.
or on the big dozers,
Yeah.
like they all have a sealed thing,
Yeah.
or the small ones have a sealed. But on the big dozers, you have to like check the level and fill it.
Yeah, that's because those like the pivot shafts are so big on those things, and then they have like you have your pivot shaft seal, right? Tears a lot and stuff like that, right? So you just there's places for it to leak out on a D11.
More places.
Yeah. Whereas, and it also goes through your pivot shaft on a D11 and a D10 size dozer, even on a D8, it goes all the way through the tractor.
So there's like a big shaft
Yep.
or a bar that goes right through the entire thing.
Yep.
So that pulls out in one piece.
Yep. Yeah. And there's bushings.
I did not know that.
There's bushings and bearings and all that stuff in the, like in the tractor itself. There's a pivot shaft housing. It's full of oil.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I love that shit. I miss running Dozer.
Then on the 6s, pivot shafts are like bolted on. So then the only oil that you have is like the pivot shaft that goes into the.
So it's bolted to the frame
Yeah.
that goes to the track frame, and that's it.
Yeah, and then you have oil in the track frame where the pivot shaft goes.
Right.
Some people switch it to grease.
Okay, so a guy rolls off the pile. What's happening to the machine mechanically when it's upside down?
Well, all your fluids go in the wrong spot. So that's not super helpful.
So engine-wise, like, what's going on there?
That's another reason why the E's are nice. The E's are a Huey pump. They use the engine oil to run your injectors.
What?
Yeah.
How does that work?
Takes your engine oil,
Yeah.
goes to a pump. Then you have a high pressure gallery inside your head. The same as like a Ford uses, like Power Soak uses a Huey.
I don't know this. I'm not a mechanic.
Yeah.
I know a
so
little
it
bit,
takes-
but
So it takes your engine oil, pressurizes it, sends it through a gallery that goes to all your injectors. And that's what it uses to fire your injectors.
oil pressure.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Oil pressure in a solenoid.
Did not know this.
Yeah. So if you're upside down, not sucking any oil in,
Nothing's.
kills the injection. It's like a built-in fail-safe, sort of. An accidental fail-safe.
Where others, you just be running dry.
Could be, yeah, if you don't shut it off, yeah. Or you'd start hydrolocking stuff. So you have too much of a fluid in your cylinder, like in your piston, right? So you're piston's coming up, trying to compress the gas, right? So that it can explode.
Yeah.
So they can push the piston back down. And you get like a foreign fluid in there. That doesn't compress, right? Because fluid doesn't compress, so it just essentially won't ignite. It'll just shock load your whole connecting rod and everything. That's how you bend rods.
I've had a piston shoot out the side of a D11.
I know you have.
You were there for that, weren't you? On the ring road?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to pull the axles on that
Yeah.
and drag it. Broke the fucking ripper shank. I have that video actually. It was being pulled, but I was trying to save time, so we didn't chain up the ripper.
Yeah.
My bad.
I think I was even there for that day too.
Yeah, that was my fault. But
Yeah. That was actually worked on that dozer not too long ago. Last year or the year before.
this is a D11R, I think.
One of them, yeah.
They still got Big Bertha.
Yeah.
D11N. I hate that dozer. It like has no power, no track power. Like, so the N series came out, I think 1980 or something. The 11M. I was born in 81, so I'm 42.
Yeah.
How many times has that dozer been rebuilt? You figure?
Oh man.
Like how many engines has that went through?
I don't know, like before they even got it. Think about that, right? Because it was probably at a mine before then.
Mm-hmm.
So it would have been probably
What's
houred out from
the
mines.
life of an engine on a D11? That's
Pretty. I've seen them with pretty high hours on them. It's a 3500 series engine on the R's, which I think was the last best.
and the T's is a C32 or something.
Something like that.
Yeah. What's the life on a dozer frame?
Well, you can get 1,000,000 hours out of them.
Million? Crazy.
You can rebuild those things until
Forever.
you're sick of rebuilding them. eventually your metal gets tired,
Yeah.
right? Same with like the E-series scrapers. That's kind of what you're running into now with those. It's been everything on those scrapers have been flexed so for so many years that it's just the steel's getting brittle on the actual frames itself.
Mm-hmm. So then you get to some point where you can't even rebuild it anymore.
I guess, yeah.
I mean, if the frame's shot,
Yeah. Just keep welding it.
keep welding it. Gouge it and weld it.
Yeah. Which creates so many problems.
Do you weld too? Like small stuff?
Small stuff, yeah. I'm not a...
Yeah. I know you're not a welder, but
Not a great
I assume your truck has like
I got a welder, yeah.
a welder on it.
I'll weld out broken bolts and stuff. If
Yeah.
you need it to like not look pretty, it's the oldest dozer you've ever ran.
The oldest doors I've ever ran. Surprisingly not that old. I ran a D9L for contour earth moving in a gravel pit one summer.
T9L is pretty old.
Yeah, 70s.
Oh, yeah. 70s and 90s, I think.
Which?
They make now.
No.
90s?
The L was before the N.
Well, the L was before the 10, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The L was before the 10. Then the 10
So I
came
think
out.
The 10 was on L frame. First time.
Maybe. I forget.
You know that. It's that power plant out by Hannah, Sheerness.
I don't know.
They still push coal, or they used to, anyways. I don't know if they're even still coal fired. But
Yeah.
They used to push with D9L.
The proportion of the track frame in relation to the final drive, like the back,
Yeah.
is really short in
Mhm.
comparison. Like it's really narrow. So you get like a super high
Yeah. Like
track.
that angle there, yeah.
Yeah, that angle. Where like on the others, it's more of a
A little bit of slope, yeah.
slope. D9Ls is fucking right like
Yeah, pretty
that.
much straight up and down. You know, they got a weird ripper on them too.
Yeah.
Probably for that same reason.
Good dozer. Like as long as she has fuel, she's fucking pushing.
Yeah.
Like no sensors on there whatsoever.
No.
Mechanical, everything.
Everything, yeah. I've had to do a valve on a D9L actually. A valve cracked.
Mm-hmm.
Pull a valve out from underneath the. It's actually weird. Like half is underneath the cab and then half under the hydraulic tank. It's a giant pain in the ass.
Yeah. Yeah, that 9L I think had like 80,000 hours on it.
Oh yeah.
Fucking clapped right out. Like yeah, it could barely push.
Yeah, it's held together with hopes and dreams.
So I ran that, and then I ran their first hoe that they ever bought was a Cat 235.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the joysticks were leaking hydraulic all
Yep.
over me.
With the little
With the one little
joystick steer.
joystick dick,
Yeah.
I was like
thing.
trying to lift myself up, turn and pivot all in one motion, and like you need
So many things going on.
so many things going on. Like it's so hard to do. Those are the oldest machines, and they're really not even that old. Like I've never ran a cable dozer or nothing. I would love to.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It would be pretty freaking stressful. A lot of things going on.
Yeah. I mean, you're not building a pyramid with one.
Yeah. No.
You're pushing fuck all.
Yeah. I remember when I first started in this industry, 245s were still trucking along.
My favorite hoe, Cat 385 CL. He's got so much power. That was like tier 3 or 0 or 2 or I don't even know what the fuck.
C18, I don't know.
Powerhouses. Love them. Now, like, I don't like the new hose. Tier 4 and it's like not the same power. Everything's different.
It's almost like they made the fuel tanks too small.
You think so?
Yeah.
They don't last a full day or what?
Some of them don't, no.
Really?
If you're operating the bag off of it, I've seen them
Yeah.
not.
Like a 390 or something?
Yeah, 395 or something like that. I don't think it's so like bad on the bigger hose, but I think the littler hose have a,
You would think they would put it on a larger fuel tank because, like, in the field, sometimes you gotta wait.
especially for a smaller hole.
Yeah.
Right?
Or you have to fuel it yourself.
Yeah.
You just need to get through the day or get through a couple more hours or whatever. You'd think they would have a larger fuel tank.
Yeah.
My worst hoe, 374. No. Yeah,
The 375.
375.
Yeah.
375. Yeah, I like the 374F, but
Yeah.
375.
Yeah.
Those came out in 1994 or 5. Or
Yeah. Old. Slow.
super slow.
Oh my god. They used to like have to walk themselves up that hill. I said that was down like Wolf Willow or something like that. They're trying to walk to the top and they had to like drag it up with the bucket. Like,
Oh, I know. I've ran a bunch of them. They suck.
yeah.
But
They're still out there.
you don't see many anymore, but
No.
like there's still ones that could go there. I mean, they'll have them forever. They're been paid off for
Oh, they don't own anything.
97 years.
Right.
So.
Little trees growing in the cab.
I've seen that too.
375.
Yeah. Yeah. There's dirt in there. No one's ran it forever, and there's little weeds growing
Yeah,
in
yeah.
there.
It's growing its own little forest in the cab, yeah.
That's too funny. What's your favorite machine to work on?
What's my favorite machine
Yeah.
to work on? Actually, excavators.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? More room?
More troubleshooting. More of a challenge. A little bit more room. Not as dirty. Not as much up and down. Whereas a scraper, you're up and down. Changing hoses, covered in grease.
Yeah, scrapers suck. I mean, I love them, but they suck.
I got a love-hate relationship with them.
Yeah, they pay your bills, right? So, might as well wrap her up.
Yeah.
A good combo talking about construction, earth moving, scrapers, excavators, dozers. Yeah, man. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.